Unveiling the tapestry of existence in the Book of Life, there are books that sit quietly on shelves, their spines unbroken by curiosity, their pages untouched by the hunger of a seeking mind. And then there are those rare, luminous works that seem to hum with a secret energy, as if the ink itself were alive, whispering truths that transcend the boundaries of time and space. Upton Sinclair's The Book of Life is one such creation, a tome that does not merely inform but transforms, not just instructs but awakens. It is a compass for the soul, a map of the unseen currents that shape our existence, and a mirror held up to the vast, often uncharted territories of human potential. To approach the Book of Life is to step into a river where the waters of science, philosophy, and spirituality converge. Sinclair, best known for his muckraking exposes like The Jungle, here turns his gaze inward and outward toward the infinite. The book is not a singular thesis, but a symphony of ideas, a grand meditation on what it means to live fully, consciously, and harmoniously in a world that often feels fragmented and chaotic. It is as much a guide to personal vitality as it is a manifesto for collective evolution, weaving together threads of mental discipline, physical well-being, and metaphysical inquiry. Imagine, if you will, standing at the edge of a vast forest. At dawn, the trees stretch endlessly before you, their leaves trembling with the first light of morning. Somewhere in that forest, hidden beneath the undergrowth, are pathways, some well-trodden, others nearly invisible, that lead to clearings of revelation. The Book of Life is both the forest and the guide, inviting you to wander its depths, to lose yourself in order to find yourself anew. Sinclair does not offer dogma. He offers keys to understanding the body's rhythms, the mind's labyrinths, and the spirit's boundless horizons. What makes this work extraordinary is its refusal to be confined by category. It is neither purely a health manual nor solely a philosophical treatise. Instead, it dances along the edges of these distinctions, suggesting that the separation between body and mind, between individual and cosmos, is but an illusion. Sinclair speaks of nutrition with the reverence of a mystic, discusses mental habits with the precision of a scientist, and explores love and creativity as forces as tangible as gravity. His prose, though grounded in the practical, often soars into the poetic, as if he is not just explaining life, but celebrating it. And yet, for all its grandeur, the Book of Life remains deeply human. Sinclair's voice is that of a fellow traveler, one who has stumbled, questioned, and persevered. He does not claim omniscience. He extends an invitation. Come, he seems to say, let us explore together. Let us question the boundaries of what we think we know. Let us dare to imagine that life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived, a mystery that unfolds in the food we eat, the thoughts we nurture, the love we give and receive. To read this book is to engage in an act of alchemy, to take the base metals of everyday existence and transmute them into gold. It asks of its reader not passive consumption, but active participation. Each page is a dialogue, each idea a spark meant to ignite the kindling of the reader's own insight. It is a book that meets you where you are, but refuses to let you stay. There, it whispers of potential, of a life not defined by circumstance, but shaped by conscious choice. In a world that often feels increasingly mechanical, where humanity is reduced to data points and productivity metrics, the Book of Life is a reminder of the sacredness inherent in simply being alive. It calls us back to the wisdom of the body, the power of the mind, and the vast uncharted realms of the spirit. It is a book for those who sense, even if faintly, that there is more to existence than meets the eye, and who are willing to embark on the journey to discover just how much more there truly is. There are books that instruct, and there are books that illuminate, and then there is a third kind, rare, peculiar, elemental, in force that acts not so much as text, but as a catalyst, a mirror to the spirit, a lens through which the architecture of life itself begins to disclose its deeper, sometimes haunting contours. The Book of Life by Upton Sinclair belongs to this last category. It is not a manual, though it offers guidance. It is not a gospel, though it trembles with moral urgency. It is, in the truest sense, a document of awakening, an attempt to capture not only the rhythms of social and economic forces, but the pulsations of a species on the cusp of transformation or extinction. Imagine an ancient tome discovered not in the ruins of a forgotten civilization, but buried within the psyche of modern humanity, waiting for the right eyes to open it. Sinclair does not merely offer his readers information, he thrusts them into the white-hot forge of ideological and ethical reckoning. This is a book that burns. It consumes illusions, dismantles idols, and challenges the reader to reconsider not just their place in society, but their participation in the very unfolding of evolution. Through it, Sinclair becomes not just a writer, but a kind of cartographer of the soul's journey through the labyrinthine structures of capitalism, class, morality, and spirit. To hold the Book of Life is to grasp at a kind of philosophical, iron-weighty, cold, necessary. It is divided into two major volumes, Mind and Body and Love and Society. But these are not mere categories of subject matter. They are chambers of inquiry, dimensional strata through which Sinclair guides the reader from the personal to the political, from the cellular to the cosmic. He writes as though humanity is in a chrysalis, trapped somewhere between the larval impulse of instinct and the fragile, shimmering potential of conscious evolution. And he does so with the fierce clarity of one who has seen too much and suffered too deeply to tolerate falsehood or delay. Sinclair, often remembered for his radical exposes and muckraking journalism, takes a different kind of risk in this book. He opens himself not just to political reprisal or social ridicule, but to metaphysical challenge. The Book of Life is not content to diagnose the ills of the world. It seeks to recalibrate the inner compass of the individual so that they may navigate toward a more just, sane, and integrated existence. In doing so, Sinclair stretches the boundaries of what non-fiction can be. He writes like a man possessed not only by truth, but by time itself, as though aware that civilization teeters on a precipice and the seconds remaining must be filled, not with pleasantries, but with transformation. There is something almost mythic about the urgency that pulses through the text. You can feel the echoes of Prometheus here, bringing fire not from the gods, but from the forgotten realms of human reason, daring to challenge the orthodoxies of both church and capital. Sinclair stands at the crossroads of biology and morality, economics and ethics, sex and spirit, demanding that we reconcile what has long been fractured in us. The body is not to be denied, the soul is not to be enslaved, and society, this great, groaning edifice built of unequal labor and inherited violence, must be reimagined if we are to survive with dignity. But there is no sentimentality in this vision. Sinclair does not offer utopia. Instead, he proposes a dynamic equilibrium, a living code of balance between desire and discipline, freedom and responsibility, science and compassion. His insights into food, health, education, relationships, work, and governance are woven together, not as separate. instructions, but as organs within a single, breathing body, the organism of life rightly lived. He does not merely argue, he orchestrates. And like a symphony, the resonance of his ideas extends beyond the literal into the symbolic, striking chords that linger long after the page is turned. To enter this book is to begin a pilgrimage not toward some external shrine, but inward, downward and forward, all at once. The path is not straight. It winds through the deep forests of personal dysfunction, over the jagged mountains of economic injustice, across the deserts of social alienation. But at its core, the Book of Life proposes that all of this is navigable, that the human being, though battered and bewildered by the machinery of modern life, still contains within them the seeds of a radiant, conscious being, not perfect, not omniscient, but awake, fully, radically, and compassionately awake. In this way, Sinclair does not simply hand us a book. He entrusts us with a mirror, a map, and a flame. The mirror to see ourselves clearly, the map to reorient our journey, and the flame to ignite whatever dormant courage still lies coiled within us. Whether that courage will be enough, whether we will rise to the challenge this book presents is not something Sinclair presumes to answer. That is left to us, the inheritors of his vision, the co-authors of the next chapter in the long and tangled story of life. And so, with the gravity of a prophet and the precision of a scientist, Sinclair hands us this paradoxical artifact, both practical and poetic, urgent and eternal. In a world increasingly fractured by distraction, delusion, and despair, the Book of Life remains a strange, stubborn beacon, its light still flickering, waiting for those brave enough to follow it through. The dark